Detective? Hi, Victor Cifuentes.
Ah, the attorney, huh?
Yeah, I'd like to see my client, please.
Yeah, well, the grieving widow is hiding out. Upstairs bedroom.
What's with the attitude, Detective?
In my experience, counselor, a woman with nothing to hide usually doesn't mind explaining what her husband's doing shot to death in the driveway of their home.
Victor, God, love you.
It's okay. It's okay. You all right? What's up? Okay. Why don't you tell me what happened?
I was pulling my car into the garage.
I thought you were supposed to come to my place after the ballet.
After I took my niece home. I stopped by here to change. He must have been waiting. When I opened the garage doors, he slipped in behind me and he grabbed me as I got out of the car. And he started yelling. Then I was a bitch and a whore. And he punched me and said he was going to kill me. So I took out my gun and I told him to leave me alone.
You carry a gun?
It was his. He has 6 or 7 of them, all unregistered. I didn't think he'd miss one, so I took it before he moved out. Victor, I was scared of him. I didn't mean to use it. But he kept coming at me. He kept telling me he was really going to make me pay. I was terrified. So I closed my eyes and pulled the trigger.
What'd you do with the gun?
I dropped it on the ground next to him. I came inside and called you.
Fingerprints are probably tied to the gun.
Oh, there are no fingerprints. I had gloves on.
Gloves?
I wore them to the ballet.
Where are they? The police will want to test them for gunshot residue.
I burnt them.
What?
Oh, Victor, please. This is Armand Sevilla we're talking about, the Sevilla Institute of Science, the Sevilla collection at the County Museum. People don't think of him as the sort of man that sends out for teenage prostitutes or forces his wife to have sex with a business associate while he watches and then breaks her jaw for doing it. I also took his watch and all the cash he had in his pocket.
Oh, Lauren.
I'm sorry. I didn't think anyone would believe me. I thought I was doing the smart thing. What happens now?
They're going to arrest you.
Why do they have to arrest me?
Why? Because that cop out there believes you murdered your husband. That's why.
What about you? What do you believe?
I don't know. I don't know.
On to Lipper versus Lipper.
Yeah, that's mine. The husband's referral from Ed DePaul. It's some sort of a custody matter. I'll know more about it when I see him next week.
In re estate of Sprake.
Still waiting for that release from Franchise Tax Board.
Mr. Rollins, what is the status on Bass versus Capitol Studios?
We filed for a court-ordered accounting. We should have something scheduled by the 1st of the year.
Excuse me, I gotta go.
Victor, you sure you don't want me to take over the arraignment?
Thanks, Mike. It's under control.
He states that.
Anybody know what happened? The paper said he was killed right outside the house.
Why would I not want to defend the woman I loved in a murder case?
You think they have a case, Mike?
Well, people, if we can refrain from speculation as to the day's headlines I'd like to get through here. Miss Perkins, why don't you bring us current on the Rona Gradinger merger?
I'm trying to get the SEC filing put together by year end. I figure with some serious night work this week, we ought to be in shape.
Excellent. As that concludes the morning's agenda, I'd like to remind you all that our annual Yuletide festivities will be held this coming Wednesday at 5 o'clock. While attendance is not mandatory, all those present will receive their Christmas bonuses at that time. Anything further? We're adjourned.
That's nice, Jack, but your imagination doesn't exactly establish proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
I've got this theory, so hang in there with me for a minute, okay? We start with the premise of a beautiful and very smart little cookie who's married to this guy with $100 million. Only now he wants to unload her and do it cheap thanks to this prenuptial agreement. So our cookie gets an idea. A do-it-yourself divorce. And because, as we said, this is a smart cookie, she wears gloves, so there's no prints or gunshot residue. And then to throw the police off, she lifts his watch and his wallet to make it look like robbery. Unless you think maybe she had an accomplice. You think that, Victor?
Go sell it to the movies, Jack. In the meantime, you still don't have one piece of physical evidence to tie her to the crime.
The murder weapon, Victor.
You were able to connect her to the gun?
No, it's unregistered and untraceable. Victor, how many street robbers do you know who leave their gun behind?
Now, what jury could possibly harbor a shred of reasonable doubt after you present them with something as devastating as that?
Speaking of juries, they're not gonna like her. The accent, the looks. They're gonna want to see her pay. And between you and me, that's really kind of a loss. I mean, look at her. Gorgeous, smarter than your average bear. And if you could get her off, richer than God. If I could only learn to overlook small character flaws like murder, this is a woman I could get real with. Maybe even get married. Sure, it might get a little scary every time she got mad at me, but what the hell is life without risk?
Hey, how about you give it a rest, okay?
What do I sense here? That our crusading lawyer has perhaps more than a professional interest in this case?
Oh, great. The judge just buzzed he's coming out. All rise.
Officer Beard's late. Officer Beard's late.
What about the bail? Why is it taking so long?
I am still trying. But the money in your husband's estate has been frozen until the disposition of your case.
I don't sleep. Can't stand it in here.
Preliminary hearing is tomorrow. Just hang in there.
What if the judge makes me stand trial?
I don't think that'll happen.
You're not even convinced I'm innocent. Why should the judge be?
Lauren, you're not required to prove your innocence. The state has to prove that you're guilty.
You want me to take a lie detector test?
Courts don't put much stock in them.
I'm not talking about the courts. I'm talking about us. I love you. I thought you loved me. Since the night it happened, you haven't been able to get it out of your head. Murder.
What you did, the way you tried to cover it up. I'm having a lot of trouble with it, Lauren.
It's not going to work for us, is it?
I really don't know.
Hey. If you can't believe in me, should I be looking for another lawyer?
I can still be your lawyer.
You want to be?
Yes. No matter what, No matter what, I can't live with the thought of you spending time in prison.
I already did my time for marrying Ramon Sevilla. I'd die if I had to do any more. Victor, I shot him in self-defense. I swear.
Killiford, Officer Killiford. Line 3, please. Miss Wu, J. Wu.